in campus elections. Students for Environmental Concerns is a group that's based over here. It's the oldest, probably the largest student environmental group on campus. Meets here 6:30 on Wednesdays if any of you want to get involved. But it started out working on preventing Oakley Dam from being built that would have flooded Allerton Park back in the 60s. Worked on getting scrubbers on Abbott Power Plant. The scrubbers and electrostatic precipitators have made a significant difference in air quality in Champaign-Urbana. Abbott Power Plant is still the largest emitter of sulfur dioxide in Champaign County. It accounts for about half of the total emissions in Champaign County. But that's a focus of a lot of what has started out. Recently, a lot of student activism has been focused around the wind turbine. And it's been really a catalyst for a lot of things. The idea of having a wind turbine on our campus. The idea of something that would contribute in a significant way to campus energy consumption, but that would also really, that it would serve as a focus for research, for education, for many, many things. There's been a lot of discussion back when this project was moving in 2006 and 2007, talks with the Construction Engineering Research Lab, CERL, about doing microgrid research here, about doing lots of other things. It's also been a focus for the student green fees. The first green fee that was passed at this campus in 2003 was passed to build a wind turbine. It was the first green fee passed in the state of Illinois, and that's why it was done. And that money was instrumental in getting Illinois Clean Energy Community Foundation grant money for that project as well. We just got it restarted this May after Chancellor Herman had previously killed it, and it's continuing to move forward slowly and tortuously through the processes that we have on campus, facilities and services, purchasing, legal, somebody else. The request for proposals for that was supposed to be out in June, then July, then August, then September. Now it's October. But supposedly it's this week, probably next week. This is how the university works. Coal is something else that we have been strongly focused around. The University of Illinois made a commitment in the Climate Action Plan to end coal use by 2017. That's not as aggressive a date as we would like. We think it's feasible to do so by 2013. I'll talk to you later about why. We burned 66,000 tons in the fiscal year that ended this July of coal. We burned 94,000 tons the year before that. One of these days I'm going to sit down and do a volume calculation of exactly how much coal that is, but it's 4 large coal trucks basically every day that come to our campus and dump a bunch of coal, and we burn that. It's probably the volume of several major-sized buildings. One thing that I've kind of always wanted to do was build a giant heap of coal on the quad and show people this is what your energy comes from out here. But we'll get there. One thing noteworthy about coal is that it has kind of become a national level effort. It's something that's being worked on at schools across the country. Schools that have recently committed to moving beyond coal include North Carolina, Cornell. Recently, I think the University of Pennsylvania made a commitment, and several dozen others that have done so. There's a lot of focus on what you can do around coal kind of across the board. There's an environmental justice aspect to it, certainly. There's a lot of work on coal ash and hearings going on over there. We just had a clean air interstate rule passed to regulate particulate matter and smog emissions to a greater extent than they have been in the past. Basically, all of the regulatory activity that didn't happen over the past 8 years because of the Bush administration is happening now. So every air pollutant you can think of, mercury is next on the line. The exciting thing for me with this is 5 to 7 years from now, you will not have an existing 400 megawatt or less coal station in this country. It will be too expensive to retrofit it to account for all of the environmental damage it's been doing. We basically can close them down, and that is a big, big step. We've also managed to, across like the national efforts, have basically slowed down the construction of new coal power plants to a trickle. There's barely anything new in the pipeline, and no new plants are being proposed. What you're seeing action on right now is plants that were proposed 5 or 7 years ago that people are trying to stop. But given that there's nothing new in the pipeline, in 2015 there aren't going to be new coal power plants to combat. We're going to be fighting over shutting down the existing ones, but there aren't going to be any new. And that is really exciting, especially here in Illinois, where I think we're the second biggest user of coal in the Midwest. So, about our green fee. The U of I has the largest green fee pool in the United States by revenue. I was looking at Texas recently, where they just managed to get approval to pass to get green fees in place at their universities, and they have them in I think 5 or 6 public universities, all passed last year, and they're very excited about that, which is great, especially given it's Texas. But if you look at, like, they're going with the selling point that they have more green fees at public universities than any other state in the country. I added up the revenue from all of the schools, like Texas, Austin, Rice, everybody in Texas. U of I alone has a student fee that produces as much revenue as all those schools in Texas combined. It's over $1 million a year. And it was not easy to get. We collected over 3,000 signatures. We got endorsements from half this university, I believe. We did a lot of chalking. We did a lot of flyering. We did a lot of work to get out the vote. And that's how we got 77% approval for passing that fee increase. But it is really exciting because last year, the committee that manages them, so here are some of these are just the departments. I couldn't fit the faculty and so on the list, but it kind of just gives you a scope of the effort that was made and the support that exists that these units agreed to make such endorsements.